Hi, today is April 17th, 2023, and here are my poems for the day. The first one is poem number 639 for the year, Abstrapkin. After Mama had oatmeal with blackberries and blueberries and raspberries, her napkin looked like an abstract painting. Poem number 640, Pencilina. Two of my favorite road stories involve Bradford Reed, who celebrated a birthday a few days ago. Bradford was part of King Missile III, pronounced King Missile III, not King Missile III, or King Missile III. He played the drums, but also an instrument that he invented called the pencilina, which is a string instrument that can be plucked or bowed or hit with strings. Pencils could be struck between the strings to change keys or something. I always liked the name Pencilina, and I like the way it sounds. And Bradford was a lot of fun to play with, and he is just a really good guy. If you don't know him, you really ought to. He is way nicer than me. It's almost fucked up how nice he is, but it's okay. Poem number 641, Bradford's birthday. On Bradford's birthday, I sent him a message. Happy birthday, motherfucker. The next day, he wrote back a single word. Thanks. Today I was thinking, was Bradford upset that I said motherfucker? It didn't seem possible to me that he would be. It kept bothering me, so this morning I went and checked his message again. It didn't say thanks, it said thanks. That exclamation point makes all the difference, and for me, it was a tremendous relief. Poem number 642, The Tipping Point. One of my favorite road stories was that time that King Missile III was on tour and Bradford had brought an audio book. King Missile III, by the way, was Bradford, Sasha Forte, and me. We put out a good album and a few others, or maybe one bad album and a few others, and a few good ones, or maybe they're all good. I don't know. They all have things I like on them. Anyway, one time Bradford had brought an audiobook that had gotten a lot of attention at that time, The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. It had been a bestseller, and there was a lot of talk about Gladwell's brilliant ideas. Bradford put the tape, or maybe it was a CD. This was maybe 2003. Most audiobooks were on CD back then. I think it was a CD. Gladwell was reading the audiobook himself, and his voice was pleasant enough, and he sounded smart, but for 20 minutes he kept making the same point over and over and over and over, and his point was that things don't change until they reach a tipping point, and then they change. This idea used to be called critical mass, and it's an idea that Bradford and Sasha and I, and probably everybody already knew at that time, that things don't change until they reach critical mass, and then they change. I was disappointed with the book, and Bradford was enraged, and he stopped the van and threw the CD out the window. He may have even gone out and stomped on it, and then he got back in the van and said something like, "Things are the way they are, and then it gets to a point where things change. It's so stupid." Today I looked up the book on Wikipedia, and I see that there were a few interesting ideas in the rest of the book. I think it's fair to say that there were probably 15 minutes of good and interesting ideas in that 8.5-hour audio book, but there weren't any in the first 20 minutes, so out the window it went. It was like we listened to the tipping point until we reached the tipping point, and then we had to stop. And the last poem of the day is poem number 643, Boxy. Another of my favorite road stories was that time that Bradford found a box on the road, and he took it into the van, and he put eyes and a nose on it and cut out a mouth, and then he said to me, "Here's your new girlfriend. Her name is Boxy." Boxy was not everything you would want from a girlfriend, but she was more than everything you would want from a box. At some point, Bradford told me that Boxy was male and had always been male. I don't know if he meant that Boxy was a cis female and then transitioned to the male he always was, or that Boxy had always had a male body and that Bradford originally referred to Boxy as my girlfriend because some gay men will call other men girlfriend. It's a bit confusing. Perhaps one day I will go over this with Bradford and we will get this straight, although straight in this instance would be a relative term. All right, that's it. Thank you for listening once again. I appreciate you. I truly do. I appreciate you. Thank you.